welcome back to my channel. If you are new here and like the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, I am so sorry for the late update. I ended up getting sick, so I was unable to stick to my schedule, and I am so sorry for that. Well, it's finally out. Okay, so before we start this, you see the thumbnail here, it says part 13. That is a number. Well, after making this part, I would like to announce, like, actually 100% for real this time and not all those other times I said that I'm finishing up this series. I plan on finishing this series within 2 to 3 more parts, so get ready for that. After being brutally defeated and had his entire team wiped out by a kid nonetheless, the lone survivor ran toward his boss, Kai. Their father, more like kidnapper. Sir! He ran into the room where the silver-haired man had just finished up on his current work. What is it now, JJ? Those kids, they escaped! Kai dropped his pen. They what? His voice was dark and menacing. His short temper shot through the roofs, and he picked up that same pen, throwing it across the room. You had one job. One! The former ice skater shrunk back in fear, afraid that the latter would direct his anger at him. They wiped out my team. All of them. Kai leaned in closer. Then why are you still alive? Maybe it would have been best for the kid to finish him off there before his boss could. He feared him. Before the Russian could do anything, there was an alarm going off shouting out for intruders. Kai rushed to his desk and saw Lev and his group right behind him. It looks like we have guests. Get ready. You aren't going to kill me? Kai smirked. He could use this fool's mindless ambition to take down Victor and Yuuri. You still need your revenge on those two for taking your medal, don't you? JJ felt his blood boil at the mention of them. They took it all from him. Why couldn't he have it? Why couldn't he be happy? How did it end this way? He's not a bad man. He could be better. How did he end up in this situation? Many years ago, he would have filled out his plan. But it's been almost 25 years. This was pointless. What was he doing with his life? Yes. His drive was long gone, but it was too late to back down. Not when he had quit skating and dedicated the rest of his life to this. Yes, I have no other objective in life but to fulfill my goal. Kai smiled, handing JJ a gun before opening the door. Go get your revenge. He nodded his head, finally leaving the room to get to work. Kai couldn't help but laugh at the latter's gullible behavior. Finally. Things might just fall into place. Natsuo was alone, running down the narrow halls that turned into a main room. What? He was beyond confused, and lost for that matter. He had to split up with Yaku with what seemed like ages ago, which wasn't something he wanted. He knew that they were after him, so he had no choice but to leave Yaku behind. He just had to believe Yaku was strong enough to defend himself, and maybe, just maybe, they can meet up with each other. That is just wishful thinking. As much as he didn't want to think about it, chances are, Yaku was dead. This wasn't a game. These were adults with weapons. The chances were slim that Yaku would win. He just had a flimsy lighter. While it did help in escaping from those ropes, there wasn't anything else it was good for, unless he got a hold of a gallon of kerosene. Those were also slim chances. Damn it. Damn it, damn it! This was insane! What the hell even was this? He couldn't make sense of what was happening. It was all occurring too quickly to even comprehend. He didn't want this. He knew no matter how much he wished for that, it wouldn't help him. Just like it never helped Lev that time he was stuck in this hellish hole all by himself. He couldn't change it then, and he certainly couldn't change it now. He was a soft spirit in a hard world. It was selfish, but even at a time like this, he could only think of Akateru and how he could get back to him. He felt arrogant and conceited. Even still, he wanted to break down those walls he enforced and let the blonde in once more. Just one more time. It didn't have to end like this. It shouldn't. He just had to stay alive a little longer. If he could prove that much, maybe, just maybe, he could finally have that future that they had planned together before all of this had happened. He took a sharp turn, colliding into someone. Yaku? Natsuo? How? How was he alive? Surely he wasn't complaining. In fact, he was overjoyed that he wasn't the one to tell Lev the news of how he let the former libero die. No time. Yaku yanked on the ladder's wrist and ran through a door that the older didn't remember before. Finally, he saw a window. He wasn't able to judge the time of day and no way of checking the time of daylight, so after seeing the sun shine through the thin paneled windows, it resembled nothing more than a ray of hope. The light. For the first time in what seemed like forever, Natsuo smiled. The light! Akateru was here. Something in his gut told him so, even though he couldn't explain it. This was a sign. He just had to make it to him. The group ran through two main double doors. Dauntingly, no one was there to stop them. What is this? This is too suspicious. Victor clenched onto the handle of his weapon. He was a lover, not a fighter. If he could prevent it, he wishes that he wouldn't have to resort to such a tactic. However, for the sake of his family, he would take the extra step. He was given a second chance, and he will not blow it once more. His mind flashed to the nauseating sight of Yuuri bloodied on their children's floor with their absence. He would never let that happen again. Over his dead body. He refused to watch the same thing happen all over again. They lost everything within those 18 years, and he missed so much from their children's lives. He cocked the gun in his hand, double-checking the magazine. That is something to never be forgiven. We should keep our guards up. Yeah, this seems like a trap. Wait. Yuuri hushed everyone and paid close attention to his surroundings. Do you hear that? Everyone focused on hearing anything out of the ordinary. It sounds like footsteps? No, but these. They sound rushed. Could it be? Victor nodded his head, already coming to the same conclusion. It was Natsuo and Yaku. They were definitely in this building, which clarified if they were even in the right place. There! Akatera pointing to the two injured boys running on the floor right above them with only some transparent walls to make clear of them. Both Lev and Akatera went to make a run for it, or even shout out their names to let them know that they were there. However, they were stopped. Stop! Think for a second. They are running from something. If we give that away, then whoever they are running from will spot their location. She was right. But maybe if Akatera could just... His warm brown eyes, mixed with the golden flame, caught glimpse of a frightening glare. It took several seconds to comprehend. His eyes were locked on the older man with navy blue locks with singular strands of white mingling together. His hands were on a gun and was pointed to none other than Natsuo and Yaku. No. His voice barely escaped his throat. Natsuo. He couldn't lose him. He wouldn't let Kai be the cause of losing him. His body was moving on its own. It's crazy to think that something from over 2 decades ago could have changed his future entirely. If Yuuri had given up ice skating after his miserable defeat. If Victor had lost his passion. If the two ice skaters had never met. If they hadn't fallen in love. If they hadn't won. They won. They always won. Every damn time, they won. Love, skating, family, everything. If only he had been the one to receive the gold medal. Well, now certainly isn't the time to think of the what-ifs. JJ was a child granted with plentiful potential and opportunities. Now, here he was, about to take away one of Victor and Yuri's children's lives. Victor. Yuuri. Thinking now, maybe in a different life, he could see himself being close friends with the couple and maybe even an uncle to these kids. But that certainly wasn't this life. He was too far gone. Target locked. Natsuo, I think we are almost out. From the moment they escaped, no, even before then, since they fell into Kai's hands, their lungs ached for a break. Even moments of unconsciousness weren't considered rest. But there was hope. It was right there. Wait, Yaku! Something feels off. He couldn't put his hand on it. We have no time to think about it. They are on our tails. Natsuo glanced back to see some guards chasing after them. Shit, he was right. They had to keep running. Just a little farther. Natsuo! That voice. Natsuo spun his head. That voice always held such a delicate, gentle tone that brought everlasting peace to the smuller. Now it held a sense of urgency. His sapphire blue eyes met the toller's, resembling the ocean and earth uniting, bringing prosperity to the world. He half hoped it would be a loving reunion, but those brown eyes held fear and desperation. Aki. At the sight of help, his body wanted to collapse from exhaustion, but that fear in his eyes kept him at bay. Akateru was running desperately up the steps, stumbling more times than not to get to Natsuo's side, before it was too late. Instead of being in the embrace he so much desired, the Russian was tackled to the ground, hearing an ear-splitting noise. The back of his head hit the ground, and he groaned, hearing nothing but a dull ringing in his ears. He wouldn't be surprised if his eardrums busted and blood was pouring from them. He lifted his pounding head, still feeling the weight of the blonde on top of him. Oh my god. It was very faint through his ears, but he heard Yaku saying those 3 words. He was confused and alert. What was he talking about? Why would... He gasped, feeling a warm liquid on his hand that was pressed lightly onto the teller's back. What was this? His breath came out more harsh, quickly putting the pieces together in the midst of panicking. No. He couldn't hear himself. His ears still weren't working, but that didn't matter. Nothing did. Only Akateru, his one and only love. He sat up, pulling the blonde close to him, who was breathing at a dangerously slow pace. Are you hurt? His voice was strained, but Natsuo couldn't tell. He couldn't hear. What? I can't hear you. From that angle, it was only Yaku who could see the crimson red slip down the Russian's earlobes. I'm sorry. I couldn't let you get hurt. Natsuo studied his lover's lips, giving up on hearing his voice. He was desperate. Just shut up. You'll waste your energy this way. We need to get you help. Akateru smiled. With each ounce of blood leaving his body, he felt his life sipping from his grasp. It was almost as if he was facing the Grim Reaper. Natsu, please listen. Yaku stared with a sorrowful gaze, not sure what to make of this, falling to his knees before connecting his gaze with Love's, who was running up the stairs as well. I've done some bad things in life. I'm a bad person. I've only known darkness. I ran away from my family. Yet, he was cut off with a round of harsh coughs. Hagi, you were my light. He felt his throat closing up, and a single tear rolled down his cheek. You've always been my light. No, Hagi, you can't be saying this. You're going to be okay, so just... Elisa hid into Miwa, realizing that there was nothing more that they could do. I love you! He was desperate, grasping at straws to give him the willpower to keep on fighting. I love you, so please, live! You have to be alive so we can have our future together. Akutaro raised his weak, trembling hand, wiping the smaller, salty tears. I would want nothing more. His voice was weak and almost non-existent. I'm sorry. Akutaro began shedding more tears, feeling his last moment emerging from the shadows. I love you. He exhaled for the final time, letting his hand that once held Natsuo's cheek with tender care fall onto the hard and cold ground. No! By the time Yuuri arrived to the scene, Akutaro was gone. JJ had shot his shot aiming for Victor in Yuri's first son's life, but Akutaro had taken the bullet. And he was dead. Akutaro was dead. Natsuo couldn't grasp anything. The only thing he could feel was the feeling of his throat ripping to shreds. The ringing in his ears deafened him from even hearing his own screams. His lover was dead. It seemed so perfect, yet ended so very soon. Maybe forever was a word meant for memories, and not people. Now Natsuo would have to learn how to remember his lover for far longer than he'd known him. He thought that he would have more time to confess his feelings and hold him in his embrace. While he was in his arms, he wanted his body to be warm and full of life. This was not the body he so desperately desired. The body in his arms were still and cold. He felt like an empty shell of who he once used to be. Yet all he could manage was grasp onto Akutaro for a little longer. A gust of wind from the open window knocked down a picture, turning the young blonde's attention from his boyfriend. What was that? He stood up from the table where him and Yamaguchi were having lunch together and walked over to the fireplace where they kept all of the family photos. The middle blocker lifted the frame that was a picture of him really young with his brother and deceased mother in the shot. However, there was a long crack going through both his mother and brother's faces. He frowned. It's cracked. What was that? Yamaguchi stood up, leaning his head against the side of the blonde's shoulder. It's cracked, he said again, showing him the frame. Yamaguchi smiled. That's alright. We can just get a new frame. Yeah, you're right. He couldn't shake this uneasy feeling. Don't worry, he'll be back. Tadashi gave him a reassuring smile that left him no doubts whatsoever. Yeah, he was right. Akutaro would be home soon. Natsuo's deep blue eyes locked with the man across the room that held the gun with smoke forming from the end. You. He stood up with his lover's blood still lingering on his skin, making him feel colder than ever before, and taking long, slow steps towards the man stuck in a deranged trance. His voice was dark, filled with a lust he never felt or even imagined he would feel. Bloodlust. I'm going to kill you. Yeah, so I physically could not think of a better way to start the series. I was stuck on a major writer's block, and this is the only way to continue the story for better character development. I even got permission from one of my readers from the beginning, so I'm so sorry. But yes, I will see of you viewers on part 14 of You Were My Mother Too. Definitely a twist. We love plot twists though, so again, you're probably mad at me. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you'd like to be kept up to date, check out any of my social medias. I hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening.